EFCC begins takeover of Abubakar Malami-linked properties after court forfeiture order. Welcome to Star J's Media. Do not forget to subscribe for free. Share, like, comment for more news analysis. The Economic and Financial Crime Commission has begun taking possession of dozens of properties linked to former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, following a federal high court order granting their final forfeiture to the federal government. The development marks a significant milestone in one of Nigeria's biggest asset recovery cases in recent years, and has once again placed the nation's anti-corruption campaign in the spotlight. According to reports, EFCC officials have already moved to secure some of the affected properties in compliance with the court's judgment. The commission is expected to continue taking inventory of the assets and ensure they are properly documented before being handed over to the federal government. The forfeiture following a judgment delivered by the Federal High Court in Abuja after months of legal proceedings. The court ruled that the EFCC had successfully demonstrated that the properties were linked to proceed of unlawful activities and should therefore be permanently forfeited. The assets are said to include residential buildings, hotels, commercial complexes, shopping malls, companies, and other high-value investments spread across several states including Abuja, Kano, Kaduna, and Kebbi. Their combined value has been estimated at more than 200 billion naira, making the case one of the largest civil asset recovery exercises ever undertaken by the anti-graft agency. The EFCC had initially sought the forfeiture of 57 properties. However, after reviewing the evidence presented by both sides, the court approved the final forfeiture of 48 properties while excluding 9 others after finding that evidence presented against them was insufficient. Throughout the proceedings, Abubakar Malami and other interested parties maintained that the assets were lawfully acquired. They argued that the properties belonged to different individuals and companies and were not proceeds of corruption. Despite this submission, the court ruled that the claimants failed to provide enough credible evidence to establish legitimate sources of the funds used in acquiring many of the properties. Consequently, the court ordered that the assets be permanently forfeited to the federal government. Legal experts note that civil forfeiture proceedings differ from criminal trials. In a civil forfeiture case, the focus is on the property itself and whether it was acquired through legitimate means. A criminal conviction is not always required before a court can order the forfeiture of assets if the evidence supports such action. The EFCC has consistently maintained that asset recovery is a major component of its anti-corruption strategy. The Commission argues that recovering allegedly illicit wealth helps prevent public resources from remaining in private hands and also serves as a deterrent against corruption. The agency has recovered billions of naira worth of assets over the years, including luxury homes, hotels, vehicles, landed properties, cash, and shares. Some recovered assets have been returned to federal government agencies, while others have been auctioned in accordance with court orders. The latest forfeiture has generated widespread public discussion across Nigeria. Supporters of the EFCC's action believe that court's decision demonstrates that no public official is above the law. They argue that recovering suspected proceeds of corruption strengthens public confidence in Nigeria's justice system and reinforces accountability in public office. Others, however, have stressed the importance of respecting the constitutional rights of every citizen. Analysts say the case could have broader implications for Nigeria's anti-corruption campaign. It sends a message that public officials may be required to account for assets acquired during or after their tenure if questions arise regarding their sources of wealth. The case also highlights the growing use of civil asset recovery laws by Nigerian anti-corruption agencies. Rather than relying solely on lengthy criminal prosecutions, authorities increasingly seek court orders to recover assets believed to have been acquired unlawfully, provided they can satisfy the legal requirements. For many Nigerians, the outcome of the case raises broader questions about transparency, public accountability, and the management of recovered assets. Civil society organizations are repeatedly called on government agencies to ensure that forfeited properties are properly documented and used for the benefit of the public. Transparency advocates have also argued that the federal government to maintain a comprehensive public register of recovered assets showing where they are located, their estimated value, and how they are eventually utilized. They argue that such openness will strengthen public trust and demonstrate that recovered wealth is being redirected to national development. Meanwhile, legal observers say the affected parties still have the right to challenge the court through the appellate court if they believe there are legal grounds for doing so. Until any higher court overturns the ruling, however, the Federal High Court order remains enforceable. The EFCC is expected to continue securing the remaining properties covered by the forfeiture order while carrying out the necessary administrative procedures required under the law. As the anti-graft agency proceeds with takeover, many Nigerians will be watching closely to see how the recovered assets are managed and whether the development will further strengthen efforts to combat corruption across the country. The case once again underscores the importance of accountability in public service and the continuing role of the judiciary in determining disputes over assets alleged to have been acquired through unlawful means. Whatever the final outcome of any future appeals, the judgment has become another landmark chapter in Nigeria's ongoing fight against corruption and the recovery of public assets. One important question many Nigerians are asking is, what becomes of assets once they have been forfeited to the federal government? Under existing laws, property recovered through court orders are expected to be managed by appropriate government authorities. Anti-corruption analyst says the judgment reinforces the principle that individuals who occupy sensitive public positions should maintain clear and verifiable records of their financial dealings and asset acquisition. They argue that the strong institution, independent courts, and effective law enforcement agencies are critical to sustaining public confidence in the fight against corruption. At the same time, legal experts stress that every person affected by such proceeding retains the constitutional right to appeal court decisions, ensuring that the rule of law and due process remain central to Nigeria's justice system. As the EFCC continues implementing the court order, the case is likely to remain a major point of national discussion, not only because of the value of the asset involved, but also because of its potential impact on future anti-corruption investigations involving current and former public officials. This is Takeover Media. Do not forget to like, share, subscribe for free, and comment for more comprehensive news analysis.